Okay. Hi, this is Lori Jacobs, and I'm a holistic health practitioner. I went to school at American College of Healthcare Sciences, and I actually graduated when I was 60 years old. And the reason I went to school for this was because my husband was full-time in the ministry, and we didn't have insurance. And so a lot of stuff I used to, when the kids got sick or we didn't feel good or things went wrong, we'd pray about it, and God would just little by little, and I'd research, and he would show me things. And I want to talk about some of these items, and then if you have any questions, you can ask me some questions. If it's something that's not on the topic that we're on tonight, I'll try to write the questions down, and so that the next one we can deal with that, okay? The first one, I titled it, "Let Food Be Thy Medicine," because Hippocrates said that quote, and it's because our bodies need the real food. They need natural food. And I'm noticing, like, all through my life, there's different foods that actually do heal your body, or at least, restore wellness, I should say. So we'll start with chaga, okay? And if you like any of the videos, you just tap like on the screen like that, and you can give me some hearts. That gives you credit. So anyways, okay, so the first one is chaga. I don't know if anybody's familiar. Is anybody here familiar with chaga or chaga tea? Chaga mushroom? No? Well, chaga, it looks like it grows on the birch trees, and it looks like a piece of black coal. I don't know if anybody has birch trees where you live, but it's usually in the cold climates like Siberia or Maine, up north, in northern states. But it grows, like when a piece of it breaks, it grows this nodule, and it's like, it looks like a piece of black coal, okay? And I have videos on there if you want to see what it looks like. I do have videos on my wall of how to make a tincture with it. So how I found out about it was because if you look at my hands, okay, I had arthritis. I said had, okay? When I started drinking chaga, I couldn't believe it. It was just amazing because I used to be so stiff. And I was watching a video on birch trees because we were looking at some land to buy, and it had a lot of birch trees. So I wanted to learn to tap birch trees because I like birch soda. Well, anyways, I come across Dr. Cass Ingram. He's from Canada, and he was hiking in the forest, and he was looking for chaga on a birch tree. And it just happened to come up, and he said, I couldn't get over it. He said how nutritious it was, and how it's high in vitamin C, and it tastes, when you make it, like I use it every day, and it also makes you look, it's so great for your skin. What I do is I buy it. I used to buy the big chunks. I still have tons of them, but they're really hard. And I have some of the ground, but I usually just buy it from a place on eBay. It's called Siberian chaga. But it comes in a tea bag form, and you can put that tea bag in like a pot of boiling water, and you'll make a whole pot. I'm not talking one tea. It'll make a whole pot. And what it does is I mix that with my coffee, okay? And it gets, he said when he started it, he was like struggling to get up in the morning. And he said after he started drinking it, he was waking up at like 5 o'clock, 5:30, and he had energy. And he was like, well, I don't know why, And that's what the chaga does. It's amazing. The outside of the chaga, they said, is really good if somebody has cancer because it has SODs in them, which is really good for you. My husband had a friend that used to drink it all the time, and because he had cancer. But he lived like, I don't know, probably 15 years longer than they said he would. They said but he started doing the other stuff, like going to chemo and all that after a while. But anyways, but the chaga is really good. And he said his psoriasis, the guy had psoriasis, and I can vouch for this because my husband had it. And when he got done work, because my husband had a stroke, and a stroke comes from B12 deficiency or magnesium deficiency. They say some from heart, but my husband's heart was good. They could not figure it out why he had the stroke. So when you look up the natural, it says magnesium and B12 are very important for your brain and for your cell function. So what happened was, because he was a pastor, preaching on Sundays, but he had to work too because small town, small church, we didn't have enough money. So he'd drive logging truck, and he was driving like 18 hours a day, and he wasn't eating right because he was on the truck, even though we would eat natural home. But when you're in those truck stops, there's nothing good. So Plus, he was wearing himself out, not eating enough, the right foods, and not getting the vitamins. So anyways, to make a long story short, he ended up having a stroke, but he's doing really good now. They said it was like a miracle. They couldn't believe how well he's doing. He just lost part of his speech. But he used to have arthritis, and he would never drink the chaga because he was always busy drinking the coffees he'd get on the road when he was driving the truck. So when he had the stroke, I started sneaking the chaga into his instant coffee. I just boil the water. And when you drink chaga, it tastes like, if you've ever, welcome everyone, if you've ever tapped maple tree. Has anybody ever tapped maple trees? Well, when you tap it, what it tastes like when you first start to boil the syrup, it has a vanilla-ish mapley flavor. And that's what it tastes like. It doesn't really, so you can make it and just put it in a jar and drink it cold. You can mix iced tea with it or what else. But I'm telling you, I can vouch for it because you can see the bumps where I used to started to get arthritis, and then it just stopped, and I don't have a problem anymore. His psoriasis went away since he was drinking it because it's loaded in vitamin C, and vitamin C is so good for your skin. So that's what I wanted to talk about with chaga. And if you go on my wall, you will see a video on there, and it's called How to Make a Tincture with Chaga or Dandelion, because dandelion, you can get dandelion root and you can make a tincture with that, and that's supposed to detox your body. It's really good for detoxing. You can also eat it too. So anyways, so we'll go on. Anybody have any questions about chaga? It's spelled Chaga. No? Okay. If you go on the video that I have on my wall, you'll see a picture of it because it's in the video. I have it making it, and it looks like a big chunk, but it's considered a mushroom. But that's what it looks like. And the outside, the dark black stuff, that because the inside is like a brownish, and it makes like a golden color, like a brown. It looks like coffee, and sometimes you can just drink it plain. It's really good. But it'll show you what it looks like, and there's more information about the chaga on there. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is yarrow. Just about everybody has it probably in your yard, and I have other videos on there about yarrow and pictures of it too on my wall because it's hard to get everything on a live, but I do have other videos and I have them on YouTube, and now I'm trying to download them so I can re-upload them for TikTok too. But yarrow is amazing, and when I found out about it when I was in school, they said there was a girl. She was really sick and she was dying. This was back in the 1800s, and the lady's husband was working at the railroad, and the doctors used to come to the house back then. Even when I was a kid, they did. So he came to the house, and she was very high fever. She wasn't eating. The doctor said she wasn't going to make it. He told the lady to go call her husband, to go down and get her husband and tell him to come see his daughter before she passes because she wasn't going to make it. Well, she left a neighbor with her daughter. Her neighbor made some yarrow tea. Okay, this is why sometimes you got to listen to people. Made her some yarrow tea, and what she did is she spoon-fed her, got him to drink it little by little. And when they came back, that girl was sitting up in bed, her fever was gone, and she was well. And I'm telling you, yarrow is amazing. Okay, my daughter, I had one of my older daughters, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. She had a UTI, and she gotten sepsis from it. She had to go in the hospital. She was in there for 10 days. Scared me so bad. And she was married, it was an older girl. And they were trying all kinds of antibiotics. They did not work with her. And I was getting nervous. This is my kid. So I just happened to have the tea bag, the echinacea with the yarrow in it, the medicinal teas that I have on there advertised. And I had that, and it had, because it has a little packet, and I keep it in my purse for if somebody's got a cold or sick. I said, here, take that. When I worked at the school, I was bringing it in because everybody was taking it so they wouldn't get sick, because it boosts your immune system and heals you quicker. But it also, yarrow is antiviral, antibacterial too, and it's antibiotics. So I asked the doctor, I said, can she have this tea? Because I was getting nervous that nothing was working. She wouldn't eat. She hadn't eaten like 3 days. It was scaring me. Okay. And so he looked at it and he goes, oh yeah, that's really good. He goes, and then he started talking about goats, and he had goats too. And so I knew he was kind of into the natural, which was good because she was in the hospital. So anyways, I gave her that tea, and I honest to God, within a half hour, her fever went away. She was sitting up in bed and she started to eat and she went home that night. And God is so good, I'm telling you. And he's the one that taught me a lot of this stuff. He's amazing. It's just like sometimes if you don't have money or insurance, sometimes it's a good thing, because if you pray and you turn to Jesus, the master physician, he's the one who taught me stuff, and he's going to get the glory for it, because I'm telling you. And I use that all the time with the medicinal one, the medicinal teas, because it's got the elderberry in it and the yarrow. So if anybody's starting to get just a little bit of a cold, I make sure I buy a bunch of it, because I have kids that live from Florida to Maine to my other daughter wants to move to Chicago. I mean, they're all over the place. So I always buy that tea and give it to them and make sure they have it on hand. So if they start to get a cold, it just knocks it out right away before they get sick. So that is yarrow, and I do have a video on it, and I do have one on the medicinal teas, more information about it, if you go on my page, okay? And I do have the TikTok shop with the medicinal teas. But if you don't, the medicinal teas are good. It's got everything in it. And the thing about yarrow is, even if you bought just plain yarrow tea, it doesn't really have much of a flavor. So little kids, you can steep it strong and mix it with another tea, or you can put juice for little kids, just like my grandkids. I would say steep it really strong and just put just like an inch in a cup, and then mix juice with it. So, because kids, sometimes they're fussy about things, but it's not a gross tasting tea. It's really good. So, and that is, to me, it's a must we have on hand, especially when winter's coming. Next, I want to talk about parsley. Okay, this is what I learned. Oh my God, I had to do a study on it because I was going to school from home. So they send you all the stuff, and I had to do, a report on parsley. So they had us make a tea with it and then make the capsules and then write down the effects and all that. So one of the things that they said in the research that I got was that there was a lady, okay, she had something, I don't know if it was COPD or something wrong with her lungs. I don't quote me because I don't remember what it was, but she wasn't going to live long because of it. Well, she was sitting there praying in her kitchen, and it was like a hobo came to her door. I don't know who he was. I think it was an angel unaware. But anyways, and I know it sounds weird, but this is the story, okay? He came knocking on her door and asked for a glass of water. So she gave it to him because it was a hot day. And then the guy started telling her everything about herself. He said, he says, you're not going to die. That stuff that you have with your lungs, he says, you got it right in your garden. He said, go get some parsley. He said, and steep it strong and drink it, and it'll clean your lungs. And I learned in school that parsley is the only herb that detoxes the lungs. Okay, so it's supposed to be good, really good. So what I did is I had to write the report. So I made it as a tea first. Oh my God, it was so gross. And it tasted, but it worked. I'm telling you, parsley's good in food cooking, but if you make it as a tea, I had to write down, I said it tasted like the way my father's cigar smelled. It was not good tasting at all. So then I made the capsules, okay? And what happened, because when you take a parsley capsules, okay, or the tea, if you can stand it, or you can make a soup and put a lot of parsley in it and you won't taste the flavor, because I did that with my granddaughter and she was like, I didn't sleep all night. And I said, why? She goes, I had to keep going to the bathroom because it's a diuretic. It makes you keep urinating and passing urine. So that's why you got to drink a lot of water. So you can do a parsley detox with, you could take 2 parsley capsules a day. You could do it for 3 days. And then you drink a lot of water. You don't have to stop eating. You just eat your regular stuff. But just make sure you're taking that and drinking a lot of water because it's going to flush out, And so anyways, that's what you do. You can do it for 3 days. And usually I do it a couple times a year. So I noticed after I had it, because I always used to, like my husband's a pastor, so we used to go to funerals and some of the flowers, like it was the daylilies, they used to make me have an asthma attack or something. I was allergic to it or something. And my daughter used to bring me those every year for Easter, and I'm like, I didn't want to make her feel bad, but they used to make me not breathe good. So anyways, I noticed, and I was allergic to cats. This is years ago. So I went to my friend's house and I was trying to talk to her, and her cat jumped right up on the table and all around me, and it didn't bother me. And I thought, this is weird. I'm usually allergic to cats, and I wasn't. And then when we went somewhere and there was those little, and it didn't bother me. And I thought, this is amazing. I just couldn't believe it. It's like my allergies, it just went away. Okay. So, and then we, cause I didn't smoke, but we have wood stoves, and that can affect you, just stuff that, breathe in and stuff. But it's just amazing. Look into it more. You can do your own research, too. Look up the, parsley constituents and stuff. But it really does detox for allergies. It really helps a lot. Okay. Anybody have any questions about parsley or anything? No, not yet. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is almond milk, chocolate almond milk, but it doesn't have to be chocolate almond milk. I told that story. It's on there and it's going crazy because of the warts. Because my daughter was little, my daughter Nicole, and she had like 20 warts on her hands everywhere. Okay. And I couldn't get rid of them. And I looked up what to do. And I looked up all these medicines and things you got to put on them. And it says burn them. And she was only like 6 or 7. And I didn't trust any of that. I was like starting to get into where I didn't trust medicines and things, certain things. We try to do things natural. And so I was getting nervous about it. And then I just started researching. And it said it was I don't know where I read it, but it said it was a potassium deficiency. Warts comes from a potassium deficiency. I know they say it's a virus, but when I researched the holistic and the natural, it said it was a potassium deficiency. So anyways, I went to my mother-in-law's house, and she was drinking the almond milk because she was diabetic. She had the sugar-free one. And I just read, because I teach my kids to read their labels, because we were going without trying to get stuff, no chemicals in it. And so I just read her label, and it's high in potassium. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. Maybe I'll get that for my daughter and buy the chocolate one, because she's little. She'll drink the chocolate almond milk. So I went and looked at the chocolate almond milk, and it was Blue Diamond. And I'm not saying I'm not selling Blue Diamond. I'm not getting sponsored by them. I'm just telling you what I used. And that was what worked for me, because she was little. You can find other things that are high in potassium. I've heard people say they put a piece of banana skin on their warts and they went away, or different things. Or potato, and those are all full of potassium. But for a 6-year-old, she was 6 or 7, I don't remember how old she was, but it worked. And another lady on my video just said she did it for her daughter. She's had them for a long time, and she said within a week it was gone. She did the almond milk. So she drank 2 glasses a day, a little, just a regular glass. I don't know if you can see my hands, just a little glass. And of the chocolate almond milk, she liked it. It tastes good, And within a week, they were all gone. All gone. So that's why let food be thy medicine, because some of the foods that we have out there today, they're lacking the nutrients that we need. So, and that's why we try to garden. We do everything as much as we can on our own. Even with meat, like my older kids, they all get a cow or deer, and then they give us fresh cow, stuff like that. If I buy meat, I buy grass-fed beef. I don't trust the other side. It don't even taste the same once you get used to the grass-fed. But anyways, so that's, you got to look. If you look up things, you find out that a lot of the things that you have are a deficiency of some kind of vitamins. And I went to school for holistic, okay, to learn about the herbs and stuff, and that's good. But when it comes deep down, I'm pretty much any kind of symptom or thing is caused because of a vitamin deficiency. Okay. So now pistachios. If you have sciatica problems, I've been having a problem with that. Okay. Because I don't know why, but I was eating pistachios because I'm taking the B12, I'm taking all that, and the pain went away. And I was like, what is up with this? So I went to look it up, and let's see. I went to look it up, and it has B1 and B6, and that's what, if your sciatica is, you're lacking those vitamins. You're lacking magnesium, B1, B6, and B12. Well, I was taking the B12, and I hadn't been taking the B1 and B6. So it's just amazing. God is amazing. Everything we need is in our food if we get the right food and look it up. And then I had a bunch of people asking me, what about skin tags or other things like that? Okay. My husband and I went on the keto diet back in I think it was 2017. And he lost like 50 pounds. And I lost like 40, 30 or 40 when I went on it because I was going to school then. And he noticed, because he had skin tags, he's like, they're just falling right up. They're drying up and falling off, because a keto diet, you're eating less carbs because carbohydrates turns to sugar, and sugar causes inflammation. And and it turns to sugar, which isn't good for you. And when you're on the keto diet, you're eating more like the healthy fats, and the healthy fats are really good because you need that for your skin and for your whatever. So anyways, for skin tags, I don't know. I have to look up other stuff, but I know that's what worked for us, for my husband anyways. The key, because he's older than me. He's 73. I'm 66. So anyways, but that's what he used. He didn't try. I mean, we just went on keto, and he said just couldn't believe his skin tags were falling off. They were just drying up and falling right off. Anyways, so, and I want to go on to peppermint. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions about? I have some things on keto. I have a lot of recipes on keto on YouTube. I haven't put them up on TikTok because I just got on TikTok this year, last couple of months. My daughter kept saying, you got to get on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok now, and I like it. So, and I was scared to do lives, but, I was really nervous, but I'm more comfortable now. It's getting a little better. But peppermint, when you go to a restaurant, they put peppermint. Usually they have little peppermints or some kind of mints at the end because that's for indigestion. But peppermint also, I learned, and that's why those little nasal inhalers are, what do they call them? Boom booms? Boom boom sticks, yes. I have them in my TikTok shop, but I make my own. I had my own I made, put eucalyptus in it because eucalyptus opens, it's a vasodilator, and it opens up the your trachea, not your trachea, but your, oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? When you can't breathe, it opens it up, oxygen. So anyways, and so what was I saying about the peppermint? Yeah, so they have peppermint ones, and when I was in school, they taught us to put peppermint oil on a cotton ball. If you got to stay awake and you're going on a long trip and you don't want to keep drinking coffee, you can put that in the vents of your car. And when the vent is blowing the heat or the air condition, it's going to keep you more awake. But those little sticks are good too to keep you awake. My daughter used to make them because she used to get migraines really bad until she found out it was magnesium deficiency. That's another one. And my grandson, but it's also the lights. The fluorescent lighting is not very good, and she works in a school. But she used to make a peppermint salve, and you just put it right here on your temples, and it really helps with the headache. So, yeah, or just breathing those things in too. But the salve really did help. So, and that's why restaurants have that, because they figure if you're eating at a restaurant and they don't want you to go home and think you got indigestion from them, so they keep them out there. Next, ginger ale, or for upset stomach. And I always remember my parents giving us flat ginger ale. My grandfather was a pharmacist, but back in the early 1900s, when I have a map, and I used to keep it in my store, of the United States, and it shows all the medicinal herbs that they used in the pharmacies in those days. Like Coca-Cola was cocaine cola. They used it as a medicine. Most sodas were made as a medicine first, and people wanted to keep drinking them. Ginger ale was for upset stomach. I see the kids drinking this Moxie in the school when I was subbing, and not subbing, but I work off and on with different kids in the schools. And they all like Moxie. And I'm like, that stuff is gross. What is in it? And I'm like, why are you drinking this? And I said, oh, that's why it's calming you down, because it's got gentian in it, which calms you. And I said, well, that's pretty good. So, and they were like, what? It's got herbs. I'm like, it's got gentian. That's what you're drinking. It calms you down. It's supposed to be calming. So, yeah, that's what they were drinking. That's what's in Moxie, even if that tastes gross. But, yeah, whatever. Kids like it. And let's see. I'm not trying to give a bad name to Moxie. I just personally don't like it, but the kids love it. So, there. Let's see. Ginger ale. Okay. tea bags for pink eye. If you ever had conjunctivitis or pink eye, okay, you can use a regular black tea bag because it's still antiviral, whatever. And my granddaughter had pink eye, was it last year, and she couldn't go to school, so she was at my house. And they gave her so they gave her some drops to put in her eye, and the eye was getting worse. And her mother found out she was allergic to whatever they put in her eye. I'm like, just put the tea bag. You know, we've done that over the years. You could put either a yarrow tea bag or a regular black tea bag. You steep it in some warm water, and she just laid back and put them tea bags on her eyes. And within a day, it was gone. She just did it day and night, and in the morning, it was like just about gone. So tea bags are really good. And yarrow, another thing I forgot to say is you can steep it, okay, with the yarrow herbs tea, and steep it in a cup, and pour it into a spray bottle, and you can spray it on the outside of a wound if you have an infection, stuff like that. It's really good for that, because I had a friend that had that problem, and she said it was really helping. It worked a lot because you can use it on the outside. Let's see. So the tea bags for pink eye. You can take down notes if you're interested. I'm going to try to do more of these, but if you have questions, please put comments. And if it's something like we're not talking about and you want to know more about, then I'll have it maybe in the next discussion. I'll look it up. So I wanted to be in my office, but my car needs brakes and I can't get it. It's not going to be fixed till Friday, so I couldn't go down there. So anyways, let's see, tea bags. All right, reflexology for adrenals or sciatica, even though this isn't a food. I don't know, does anybody know what reflexology is? Because when I first started school, I didn't know what it was, and I thought it was a bunch of baloney. I just like, man, it sounds a little weird. But if you look up a reflexology chart, you can go on YouTube, Google, and look it up, and either buy one or look at it and see. And what you do is you push that side of parts of it, like you can use a pencil, but you push in on the feet wherever it hurts in that area if you have pain, because all your feet are the map and your hands are the map to your whole body, your organs. Okay, the big toe has to do with the head and the brain a lot, the big toe. And when I was doing my studies, I noticed a lot of people that had brain cancer, including my older kids, their father, he passed away, they started out with like a fungus in their big toe. And one lady was like, I can't believe that, because she had a son that had brain cancer, and she said he had the same thing. And the same thing with like breast cancer, they said it was like a fungus, and that's why I don't wear those big nails. Well, I buy the cheaper ones, because if you go to the salon, they wear your skin down, they wear the nail down so bad, it's not good. And if you get a fungus in your nails, it can spread and become like a cancer. And so my ex-sister-in-law said she had breast cancer, and she said she had that fungus in her fingernail. She had it in the same side. And so she goes, oh my God, I did have that before she got the cancer. So take it or leave it. That's what I heard. Okay. And that was from a doctor in Italy. Yeah. And he did operations on cancers and cysts. But anyways, let's see. Ginger ale tea. Okay. So with the reflexology, my daughter was very fatigued. This was way years ago. Okay. And I was first starting school, and I was learning about reflexology. It's like God puts these little incidents when I was in school. I felt like everybody was something was going wrong around the time that I was learning it, so I can have somebody to learn as a, test or whatever. But she was very fatigued, and I said, it sounds like adrenal fatigue. So she went to a chiropractor. He was like naturopathic, but he was a chiropractor. And he said, it sounds like adrenal fatigue, but he wasn't sure. And I said, well, can you do the reflexology? And he said, I don't know how to do that. I didn't learn that part. He was more of a, chiropractor stuff. So when she went home, I tried it on her, and she screamed when I just hit that spot where it says the adrenals. And I said, that's it, see? And what you should do with reflexology is you can, if you have the map, you can look it up on YouTube, not YouTube, Google. And then if you're having an issue with something, just press on your feet in those areas, different areas. And if you have pain in that certain area, that means that's the part of the body that's why Jesus always said, wash their feet. And it wasn't about washing, it was about the massaging of it when you're washing someone's feet, or you're washing. Especially as people get older, they can't always wash their own feet really good. So, but that's something, they said what it is that when you massage it softly, wherever the pain is, just rub it softly. I have a massage chair, so I do that once in a while. I'm on my feet too long, I go on it. And it massages that area, and it'll break up and give stimulation and circulation to the part of the body that needs it. So, anyways, yep. Anyways, saying invite certain people. And second, I hit that, but I don't know if it's doing it. Okay, so that's what reflexology chart. Look into it yourself if you're starting to get interested in this stuff and you want to start to feel better and, boost your wellness and your life so you have a better, healthier life. Look into that. Okay, so research the foods that have those same vitamins. Okay, another thing, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, you could they are the only there's all different things they have and herbs that will kill parasites and worms and eggs of worms and tapeworms and all kinds of things. But pumpkin seeds is the only one that does all of it. Okay. Raw pumpkin seeds. So when we had the puppies, when the kids were little and the grandkids, I used to buy pumpkin seeds and the raw ones, and then I'd grind them up and put them in my homemade bread because some of the kids wouldn't eat them, just to make sure that, because you got to watch with puppies, kids can get worms or they're touching things and stuff like that. But that's a good way to detox if you think you have parasites or worms, and you can do it for your dogs too. It's a safer, healthier way. But that's what works, and that's what they said, and that's what I do, so. Okay, vitamin D. I know this isn't a food, but there is foods loaded in vitamin D, okay? Avocados is one, and egg yolks. Like they said for years, don't eat the egg yolk, don't eat the egg yolk. Well, that's the most important. The egg yolk has everything that your heart needs. It also it's for your eyes, okay? So I wear these for reading the computer and stuff. But when I have long distance, I used to wear bifocals. Now I just buy these from the dollar store, okay? Because when I started doing keto, I was eating all those eggs. My vision improved. And I went for my license, and I said, test, because she had to test my eyes anyways. I said, test them, because I'm telling you, I can see far away now, because I couldn't used to be able to read the TV even on the big screen, and I could see. And she's like, yeah, your eye. She couldn't believe my eyes were good, so she didn't limit me to glasses. I use them for reading. So that's what's so good about egg yolks and eggs, okay? But the yolk is the better part. It's really good for your heart. It's healthy. It's got everything your heart needs. And vitamin D. Now, when I was studying vitamin D, okay, I'm just telling you my testimonies. My sister, she had a cyst the size of a grapefruit in her bladder, okay? And she was like, oh my God, I was just so worried about her. And they told her she really wasn't even healthy enough to have the operation. So they said they were going to wait a while and she needed to try to lose some weight. So I was learning about vitamin D. And when I went, and it's on my Facebook, I believe. Facebook, it's under Lori Jean's All Naturals. I have the video, but it's also on YouTube. And it's in the Cancer Clinic in Buffalo, New York, okay? And what stuck up in my mind, because the doctor's name was Donald Trump. And I learned this this was like way before, and he was even thinking about being in office. But that's why I just thought it was funny, because I was from Connecticut. We always heard a lot about Donald Trump, because he was always doing good things for people anyways back then. So it just stuck out in my head. And he said this was a big convention of all these doctors in the Buffalo, New York. And they said they did a test on all the cancer patients, people with tumors and stuff. And they said every single one of them had very low vitamin D or barely any at all in their body. Okay. So they started giving vitamin D3, they said, which is the natural one, to their patients in the clinic. This is in Buffalo, New York. And the people that didn't take chemo, their tumors were shrinking and they went home. The people that took the chemo, and you can look this video up, you can look it up on YouTube, and it's a big doctors convention. The people that took the chemo didn't work because they said the medication, whatever it was in the chemo, was inhibiting the absorption of the vitamin D. So vitamin D is so vital, you wouldn't believe. And the more I study it, I'm just so amazed because I'm a co-pastor too right now. I've been preaching till my husband gets his full speech back. And I was studying, and I was like, vitamin D is so good. And you get it from the sun, okay? What they said is that when the sun hits your skin, okay, you have A rays and B rays. The A hits the B and it synthesizes and makes vitamin D. And you're supposed to let it absorb into your skin at least 24 to 48 hours before you shower it off, okay? So it goes into your system. And every minute, like 20 minutes, you'll get like 20,000 units of vitamin D. So they said they don't know where they're getting this 800. That's not enough. Personally, in the winter, I take 50,000 units of vitamin D because, first of all, I'm Italian and French, but I'm American, but my parents were Italian, French, and English. And so I have a little bit of darker skin, and I haven't even been out in the sun much this summer. But I take the vitamin D, and because I was taking 20, if you're starting to come down sick, you're not getting enough vitamin D. But the best thing to do is there's a D25 test, not the regular vitamin D test. It's called a D25 test. You get that test done, and that'll tell you what your levels are. Now, according to the cancer clinic in Buffalo, New York, they said between 65 and 75 is a healthy level to be at. When I went to the clinic and had my vitamin D level checked, they said they think 50 is, but according to the medical field today says 50 is okay. The holistic says 70 is average, okay? When I had mine done, it was at 30, I think it was either 32 or 34. And then my doctor, she was a regular doctor, put me on 120,000 units of vitamin D for 3 months, okay? She said, you're going to feel great, because when I was going through my change, and my vitamin D, I could not literally walk like 25 steps, and I was fatigued. And she knew right away, she was a middle-aged woman, but she went back to school late in life like I did, and she knew. She was more on the newer stuff, what was going on. And so I always take my vitamin D, because if you have darker skin, the melatonin repels it, so you don't get it as well. So you have to get more of it. Also, what else was I going to say about vitamin D? Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you put skin block on, okay, you're better off to wear, like in the old days, we had sun umbrellas, or if you ever go to Israel or any other country where it's really hot, they wear like linen clothes or big drapey things to keep themselves so they don't get too much sun, because too much sun isn't good. But putting a block on, what they brag about, these sunblocks, is it blocks the B rays. The B is the good ray. The A is the one that causes cancer if you get just the A. Okay, so all these people are putting sunblock on their kids and on everybody, and it's worse. You're better off to just get a little bit of sun and then cover up. Like one of my youngest son, he's very fair, because my mother's side, even though she was Italian, her father was very fair-skinned. And he's got that light skin. And so he always used to go swimming in the beginning of the year. He'd have to wear a T-shirt over when he went swimming and stuff like that. Just till you get gradual, and then you're fine. But that's the best way to get the sun, is gradually. And then as you get darker, it'll tan, and then it'll block it. But so anyway, so then I was finding out that vitamin D is an actual, like a hormone. It's not really a regular vitamin. They call it vitamin D, but it's a hormone. And what it does is it affects your pancreas, it affects your adrenals, it affects your thyroid, it affects your lungs, It's like so many things. Okay, it affects your heart. Okay, my brother had a heart attack a couple of years back, and I went running right down there to Connecticut. I'm like, you got to get on vitamin D, and he's been on it ever since. It's been like 5 years now, and he's been fine. He doesn't have any problems. But he literally died on Christmas Eve in a store, and some lady resuscitated him because he had a heart attack. So, and I just happened to be in New Hampshire around that same time. But vitamin D is vital for your heart. Why do you think you see people having heart attacks in the wintertime? And not so much in the summer, but more so in the winter. Or people get sick more in the winter because your vitamin D is your immune system. So, and also when you're on, like I have friends that have asthma, and she took the vitamin D because what it does is when you're having an asthma attack, if you don't have enough vitamin D, it closes it up because it can break those little hair-like, I forget what it's called, V-line. That's why I wanted to do this in my office because I have all my books there. And so it closes it up. So if you're getting enough vitamin D, it opens it up. And she was like, I was taking vitamin D. She was taking the higher dose, and she felt good, and she could breathe. Well, she went to a regular doctor, and he's like, yeah, you can't be taking that much and all that. She stopped taking it as much, and she was having trouble with her asthma again. So I don't know like what their levels are, okay? But I was listening to another doctor, a holistic one, and he said that it has to be a D25 test because if they do a regular D test, it shows up pretty much normal all the time. The D25 is the one that can actually tell how low you are or what your levels are. So anyway, so then I'm bringing this scripture stuff into it, and I'm thinking, so vitamin D fixes everything almost in our body. Okay, the sun. Okay, and then I was reading about Adam and Eve, and it says when they sinned, they began to cover themselves. And I was like, so it was covering ourselves that was blocking the thing that gave us life, the vitamin D in the sun. And that's what we're doing now, where people are putting coverings on there. If they're wearing their skin, but they're putting lotions and stuff on their skin to block it. And I was like, okay, Lord, I said, but people can't just go around naked, not no more. And so then I'm learning about linen, okay? Linen clothing, okay? And then in the Bible, we did a whole study on it. I might do it again on here. That Jesus wore linen. The bride, when Jesus' bride comes, she's going to be wearing linen. In heaven, the angels wore linen. Linen is made from flax, okay? They spin it. So, and it's more expensive. But it said linen gives you like, I forget what it is, 5,000 megahertz. Don't quote me because I have to have it written down because I forgot already. But it gives you energy. It actually heals your body. It brings energy to your body where your body can breathe. When you're wearing clothing with like polyester or plastics and stuff, it suffocates your body and it's causing sicknesses. So I did a whole study on this and I was like, this is amazing. So that's why it also blocks radiation. That's why when the priests went into the Holy of Holies, and I don't know how many people on here are Christian, but when they went into the Holy of Holies, they had to wear linen. They had to wear everything pure linen because the Ark of the Covenant was like radiation. It was like electricity. That's why when Uzzah touched the Ark of the Covenant, he died. He got zapped. But because it's so powerful. So they had to wear only linen. And then when we did the study, the curtains in the tabernacle were linen. Everything had to be linen. And linen blocks radiation. And it also allows vitamin D to go through your skin. It's just amazing. Do the research. Got to research. It's so amazing. When you wear linen, like a linen clothing or linen dress, the vitamin D in the sun can get through that. That's so cool. I just think it's cool. Anyways, you can believe me or not, you can do the research, but maybe we'll do a Bible study on the linen. I've been wanting to, but I got to find my notes on it because I had a lot of scriptures. I mean, a lot. You can go on the Bible app and just do a search on linen, and you'll see how much scriptures it talks about linen. And that's why people are like trying to sell linen sheets, selling linen sheets and stuff like that. And I bought a bunch of linen material. I want to make some linen clothes. I have some linen dresses and stuff. But it does. You just feel lighter for some reason. I don't know how to explain it. And wool is the same, okay? 100% wool. That's why I've been like all winter, I've been knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting mittens and hats. And because 100% wool, they did a test. This is a scientific test. They put wool and linen together and they hooked it up to this thing and it blew, because they said the wool goes from, like, I think it's left to right, and one of them goes, and the linen goes from right to left. I don't know which way, but it says one of them goes in the opposite direction, and they cancel each other out. That's why it also says in the scripture, don't wear wool and linen together, because it's not good for you. But wool does the same thing. It won't burn. My husband was, these are just things the Lord showed me. Like, he was watching this old homesteading show, or this guy was, he does like a Johnny Appleseed every year, and he lives like in the 1700s, and he had a lamb's wool in front of the fireplace, and he said they used to put the lambskin in front of the fireplace because they didn't have fireplace screens, and lamb's wool will not burn. Isn't that cool? Jesus wouldn't burn. He's the Lamb of God. And the lamb's wool will not burn. Okay, so they used to put it on the floor in front of the fireplace, because when the fire would spark, it can cause a fire if you didn't have it there. So they would put the wool skins of the sheep on the floor in front of the fireplace. And I thought, that is so cool. So wool is, that's why, like, when you go in the military or any of that, they have those wool blankets, because they're fireproof. It's just cool. And a little boy, I was telling him in school, we were learning about, this was last year, I was telling him about, we were learning about sheep and wool, and I was telling him about that, and I was brought in some knitting and stuff, and he said, that's true. He said, because their house burnt. They weren't home, thank God, but their house burnt a couple of years back, and he said he had a wool sweater, and he said it was never burned. He said all the other stuff burnt. He said, but my sweater, we couldn't figure out why it didn't burn, and that's why. So yeah. So, and it's also, that lets the same thing, the 5,000 units of energy into your body with the wool. And that's why you don't wear it together. So, but that's just, it's interesting. I know that's not food, but the lamb, people eat lamb, but it's just, I wanted to get started on this. So, yep. And that's, so vitamin D is good for your pancreas. So if somebody has diabetes, you can help improve your health with it. Okay. I'm not trying to give doctor's advice. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I graduated when I was 60 years old, actually right when COVID hit. So I knew about the vitamin D, so I wasn't worried about it, because vitamin D boosts your immune system so you can't get sick. And it protected our lungs, So, yep. And I was giving it to everybody and telling everybody about it. So I believe the Lord, because like when I went to school for holistic medicine, I felt like God told me to go because something was coming and I needed to know what to do. And right when I graduated, 2019, right when then COVID hit. So I closed up my store, closed up that. And I like helping people. I don't care. I didn't do it to try to make money. So I figured now I could teach people on here, and if you like my videos and I can, get some income that way, that would be fine. But I don't have to charge. I feel like people, if you give them a boost to start learning something, maybe they'll, go with it and start researching for themselves and learn and pray, because God will always show you. And my husband and I are retired. Okay. So I get calls all the time and they're like, well, who's your physician? I said, Jesus Christ. He's the master physician. And he is. I don't have a regular physician. I don't need one. I don't want one. My husband does, because he had a stroke, but they said he was a miracle, like everything. But so anyways, and another thing, let me see what time it is. I'm going too long. What time is it? Okay. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask? So, okay. Well, I think I'll be done for tonight, and I'm going to try to do some more, but go on my wall. I do have some on there. And if you want to find me on YouTube, you can look up Jacobs Homestead, or just look up Lori Jacobs Wellness, or Holistic, Lori Jacobs Wellness or Jacobs Homestead on YouTube. And you can find me there. But little by little, I'm going to start getting my videos up onto TikTok. The only thing is some of the videos are like 30 minutes long or more, and TikTok you can only go like 10 minutes unless it's a live. So, but I do have the one about the tincture, and I have the thing about the yarrow on there, some of them. And I'll make some new ones too. So anyways, if you like this, give me a follow. If you want to hear more stuff, just give me a follow. Give me a little tap tap like they do, and that gives me hearts. And then that gives me credit towards this, and it helps. So anyways, have a blessed day. Good night.